meeting tonight. It's 6:31. According to my phone. I'd like to call this meeting to order. 11 rise and pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Ms. Laura, roll call.
Yes. Doug Day?
Yes.
Joseph Wetmore? Yes. Edward Lee?
Yes. Andrea will not be with us tonight. She has some personal health issues. I'd like to move forward with the privilege of the floor. Will be 3 minutes per speaker with a maximum of 20 minutes. People can also submit written comments if they'd like. And I will wait a minute or so if people want to wait to sign in. And when they're done, Lauren, you just go get the privilege. Okay. First on the list is Michael Quinclair.
Mike Quinclair, 118 Ross Road in Lansing. Hoping that Andrew returns to good health soon, and I want to thank you for the time, both first on the floor, but also moving the meeting to different locations in various neighborhoods. I would actually request that you add to that community newsletter sometime so people can be kept up to date on not just the location changes, but also the topics that they're interested in. I know that people can go to the website on their own, but a newsletter probably would be helpful. In the past, I've suggested a community engagement committee or citizen engagement committee. But the main thing tonight I'm here for is to ask for a stop work order in the issue regarding the Lansing Rival Gun Club. I understand they did have a consent order almost 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago. I think it was August 29th of 16, that said that they should actually stop shooting within 180 days and other aspects of that has not been followed. My understanding they are just clearing some land. Again, that should be stopped. In today's Ithaca Times, there's an article about lead at the Ithaca gun plant and how many parts per million is allowable. We know that there's lead in the Santa Creek stream, and this is affecting all of our health. So I hope that this board will consider asking the town code enforcement officer to enforce that consent order back in August of 16. If you do read the details of that consent order, it turns out that it's actually a $500 a day fine for not stopping shooting after that 180 days after consent order. So you may want to look at that as well. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Michael. Number 2 is Stephen Smith.
I wrote you guys lots of emails. So my big thing is there's certain people in this group that petitioned the town about the rod and gun. They were successful getting 100 signatures very quickly. And then I've written to several state representatives, and they said they need to hear from this board for them to because the DEC seems to have some problems doing anything, and, you know, for whatever, you know, there's a lot of, they have a lot of reasons not to be messing with gun clubs, because there's so many, and they just don't want this massive lead cleanup or whatever. They, you know, they're just afraid of the whole situation, so. And then everybody knows that Donald Trump pretty well took care of the EPA, so that's about all I have to say. I'd like the board to say something about all this.
Okay, anything else, Steve?
No, that's it.
Okay, number 3 is John Berger.
Yeah. Before I use up my time, I was wondering if there's any development today in regards to this issue.
Well,
Does anyone come out? Because that might affect what I have to say.
first is approach the floor, which we'll listen to you respectfully. And then we have on our list next, which I'll move up, is the up-to-date knowledge on the Rod and Gun Club. But approach the floor is not only for that subject, for any other subjects people have concerns about. So, Mr. Berger, if you want to share your concerns with us, or if you want to wait and address them at another meeting, it's entirely up to you.
I would like to share my concerns. Unfortunately, 3 minutes is barely enough to scratch the surface of the situation, and I feel a little bit pressured to even know where to start on this matter. But I feel like, as Steve basically alluded to, and I think other neighbors will say that, you know, in terms of lead as a toxin and as a hazard, that's totally unambiguous, and the science is in. And it doesn't matter who you are. You could be the person shooting the gun. You're still going to get sick if you're exposed to that. So I'm going to be sending along, and anybody that's interested can read the documents that has been accumulating over the last 20, 30, 40 years about the dangers of lead. We're taking lead, you know, out of gasoline, we're taking lead out of paint. Bullets, on the other hand, are almost made entirely of lead. So if someone can say, well, you take lead out of a bullet, then you can't use bullets. But that's obviously an absurd argument. There are people who say that they're perfectly good alternatives to shooting lead. This is such a high bar and seemingly such an obvious thing to do that to discuss it is almost absurd, because the reality seems to have nothing to do with the way decisions are being made. It's as though, you know, human health and public health are a hot potato that the DEC doesn't want to touch, the EPA doesn't want to touch, and hopefully the town board doesn't have the same opinion, because we're talking about the health of our own people here. You know? So I feel like hopefully things should be done differently by us. I say don't be afraid to act, because we received an email from Matthew Marco the first time in the meeting, basically, that what the gun club has been doing for the past 30, 40, 50 years is illegal, that shooting into the weapon is a violation. It's a violation of the law. So why be afraid to say, don't violate the law? I think that that's not showing a bias. I think that actually what the gun club is doing is a violation not only of the law, but very specifically, if you look at the best management practice, the EPA's document, it's not just my opinion, there is a court case saying that when the gun is shot, that's not considered hazardous waste because the gun is being shot as designed, that the shot is intended to be shot. This is kind of twisted logic. But once that is shot, and then it's not reclaimed, now it's become a hazardous waste. It wasn't hazardous first, it's sure it's hazardous now. If the gun club decides to move across the creek, they're essentially abandoning that whole zone. When they do that, if they not reclaim lead, you can read this, won't they, for me, it becomes hazardous waste and falls under the Clean Water Act. So I read this, and I think that this is important, because if we decide that some people can flout the law and others want to be law-abiding citizens, it seems to be a form of bias, which is not fair to everyone. So I think that we should call a halt to what they're doing now and stop it. If you don't agree with everything I'm saying, it doesn't really matter to me. But I feel like it's indisputable that if there are important reasons why they may be in violation of the law, and also in violation of the consent order in terms of how this procedure is supposed to proceed, there's supposed to be opportunity for the public to comment, and there haven't been. There's many procedural things that have not followed. That alone is reason to slow this down so that there's time for people to say, well, what is this guy talking about? What is going on here? Whether or not you agree, I hope everyone can agree that something that's important like this should not just be allowed just to, roll along. I know you guys are now trying to find out what's going on, but I feel like, we could talk about this for hours and only scratch the surface of what's involved in this, So, again, I'm just asking to show some due diligence, you know? Look into this, I mean, I have all this information here, but I feel like, look into it a little bit about what the consent order says, what the gun club is supposed to do, what the town is supposed to allow the citizens to do, what the EPA supposedly is there to do, and what the DEC can do. And I feel like if we do that, we might decide that we want to call a stop, which is essentially saying, this isn't saying that this thing could not be done, but it can't be done under the circumstances the way right now it's being proposed. That's a low bar. I feel like that's so low, we're almost tripping over it. If we can't get that, I'm really, really disappointed in the whole nature of our, of our government. So please, let's take a look at this. Don't be afraid to act, Don't be afraid to say, we want to understand exactly what your plans are, and we want to look at the law. We want to see how the law applies. That's really what I think. I think, personally, many other things, and I won't bore you with that, but this, I think, I'm going to stand by, and I feel like many people will, I think, support that stance. So that's basically.
Okay. Thank you. Next, we have Tim Farrell.
I would just like to know what happened when Lynn Day met with the EPA today over at the Rod and Gun Club. EDC.
Mr. Farrell will comment on that after our go to the floor, okay? Are there any other comments you want to make? Lisa?
Hi, I'm Lisa Rosika, 101 Salmon Creek Road. I live right next door to the Rod and Gun Club. I'd like to ask you to issue a stop work order. We all know how the gun club pulled their application via their lawyer, saying that their grandfather in and they didn't have to do anything. You should make that part of public record so these people can read that letter. They withdrew their application. They left everyone hanging. Nobody knew what was going on. It looks like we know what's going on now. It looks like they're moving forward with their project. They have to be held to some kind of assessment. They have to. This town should hold them to reapplying and doing the assessments they need to do so that we, the town people, can feel safe. So we can, if they're allowed to move forward on this at all, after they reapply and have permission, to, after they assess things. They can't just be allowed to move forward and do whatever they want.
Okay.
It's a shooting range. It's not a porch that two people are going to sit under and maybe it crashes down on them and hurts them. It's a shooting range. We need to know that it's two shooting ranges side by side. We need to know that assessments have been done, that they've answered those assessments so that either they're not allowed to go forward, which they shouldn't be because everybody knows how bad lead is, and it just takes common sense looking at that steep slope where we're going to get water runoff and more contamination. Well, we definitely get more contamination. These things should be done in a flat area.
Okay.
And it'd really be best if they were done away from everything, but I know that's not part of the regulations. I know that they can have their range 500 feet from not even my property line. But yeah, I'm pretty alarmed and I'm pretty frightened to think that they could just be moving forward with this with no experts guiding them.
Okay, thank you.
Make them stop. Make them stop.
Next one is Gay Nicholson.
Jane Nicholson on Maple Avenue in Ludlowville. I live downwind and downstream of the gun club. And I have been sending all of you quite a bit of information over the last 4 or 5 years. And talked to the DEC about this issue back in the 90s when I was on the Open Space Region 7 committee. So it's been going on for a long time. We've all been aware of it for a long time. I've been working with 4 or 5 other people. We've collected a lot of information, which if anybody would like to tap into those Google Docs and see the photos, see the maps, see the articles, see the research, glad to share that with you and become more informed. It's also important to realize that this is a national problem with shooting ranges, and lots of other municipalities are having to butt heads with gun clubs, who are, in many cases, backed by the NRA's funds and their attorneys to go and work on behalf of gun clubs to overwhelm what the local residents and citizens want to have happening in their residential neighborhoods. So this is a pattern that we are part of. And I'm tired of having to use my time for free, working on this issue, when my taxpayer dollars that are going to EPA, DEC, the Lansing Planning Board, the town board, our staff at the town, it seems like nobody has got the capability to stand up for health and well-being of the residents. There's no doubt about the toxicity and the threat. There's really no doubt that what the gun club has proposed as a solution is untenable. Their stewardship plan and the consent order documents acknowledge that they don't have anything really viable for moving their range from where it is currently to another place. And they don't think they can do a shot curtain, and no, they can't stop shooting with lead. So in a way, I feel like they've boxed themselves into a corner where they ought to just shut down. And the members could go to all the other shooting ranges that are around in the area, you know, for their hobby. So it's clearly untenable, and it's clear that they're thumbing their noses at all levels of government and their neighbors and this community. They're thumbing their noses at us, and I would like to see the town issue a stop work order immediately, because the legal argument of that attorney is fallacious. It will not hold water in court. I don't think we need to worry about ever being sued or losing in court. It's just all bluster and bluff. So I think that we need to, you know, right away issue a stop work order and enforce it with whatever fines they administered at the local, state, and federal level.
Yes, thank you. I don't have any more names, but people have come in. I'm sorry, one more. Violet Stone?
Yes, hi.
Hi.
I bought my house in Ludlowville 12 years ago, and within a year my son had lead poisoning, and he was 6 months old. It was a very small amount that affected him. It didn't affect my husband and I, but very small amounts affect different people in different ways depending on your genetic status. Obviously, the younger you are, the more you're affected. We moved out of our house to assess what to do, and 2.5 years later we returned to have a huge garden, and my second son also got lead poisoning because there was lead in the soil where we planted the garden. Both of them, they're doing great, but they both have had academic struggles, which is something my husband and I never had, and we always wonder whether the lead affected it. Now, what we decided to do, rather than sell the house and send the problem on to somebody who might not be responsible, or burn the house down or knock the house down, is to take painstaking steps over 10 years to do a demolition which included thousands of dollars of HEPA filters, infrared, paint strippers. I mean, I could go on and on about this. It cost us a ton of money. We lived in different places while this was going on, all so that we would have taken care of this problem in an ecologically sound way. And it took an enormous toll on us. I actually got, during one instance where I was being unsafe, I didn't get OSHA certification like my husband did, I actually got such a high level of lead poisoning that I still have lead in my system at a lead poisoning level. And that was 7 years ago that this happened to me. So when I think that we've taken such care of the environment to not put lead into it, and that my sons can go down and swim in Ludlowville Falls, and that someone is actively choosing to put the lead in the environment when there's other choices, it seems like a blasphemy against humanity to me. How can anyone let this be? I mean, 10 years of this struggle. I mean, my son and I actually, we're still friends, but we're divorced. It took so much out of us. I'm the real story of what lead poisoning is. And I know that these are small doses, but like I said, my son's dose was so small that he was so young, and all he had to do was breathe it into his lungs, and that's what it took. So this is what this is the question here. What level is too small? How could anyone be allowed to put toxins into the environment when there's a choice to use a different kind of bullet? I mean, how can that be an ethically responsible and morally responsible choice for anyone to make? I mean, maybe if we were talking about having to save people's lives, but I mean, we're talking about a hobby. I'm not saying that people aren't entitled to their hobbies, but if there are different choices that can be made, those should be examined.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else want to speak? Yes, sir. Okay, I got one hand up here.
So I'm new and I got in late, so I don't know how this works, so I
Okay,
apologize.
this is privilege of the floor. You're going to have 3 minutes, up to 3 minutes to talk. It doesn't have to be about this issue. If you have another concern, you're allowed to.
No, I was just going to kind of tack on to everything else everybody already said. If that's, I can be quick.
Need your name.
Okay, sorry. Ben Finio, F as in Frank, I-N-I-O. I've been on emails
And
with
this is your address, Mr.
74 Sharpstein Road.
Okay.
So we just bought a house in Lansing this summer, and one of the major draws to the area was Ludlowville Falls and Myers Park. We didn't know about the gun club issue until after we bought the house. And we'd been swimming in Ludlowville Falls. I have a 2-year-old, and I was terrified at first. Oh my God, did we just get my daughter lead poisoning by swimming in the falls once? And my understanding from the dosage information and from talking to different people is that, no, you're not going to, swimming in the falls once isn't going to kill you. But, if you live, these people were talking right there. So I guess just as a new resident, basically what everybody else just said, it was kind of mind-boggling that it's just like, no, we're shooting tons of lead into the creek every year for decades, and our reason for continuing to do it is because we've always been doing it, deal with it. That's kind of the assessment I got as a new resident, so I just wanted to, I guess, provide that perspective because I think everybody else has lived here for a while. I know some of the people in this room have been on emails about this, but I was curious, kind of what Gay talked about, if there are any success stories from other municipalities who, went toe-to-toe with a gun club and their lawyer and came out on the winning side. I don't have a sense for what the scale of the problem is nationally, if like 90% of gun clubs are still using lead and giving everybody the finger, or if they're kind of switching over gradually. And I feel like that would help inform the conversation. If we tell them, hey, everybody else in a 50-mile radius is switching to steel, what are you guys doing? Versus it makes it harder for us if everybody else is still using lead and shooting into a creek. So I'm trying to get more well-calibrated on all that. I don't know how much of that information.
They can do that. They're irresponsible and refuse to change to steel.
Gun clubs, they either evolve or they close. And,
Okay,
and most people are
I don't
responsible.
interrupt Lisa about this food to the floor. Your comments will be directed to the board members.
Okay, sorry. Didn't know the rules. Yeah, so I'd be curious, and again, I know some people in here are working on this, but just regionally, I understand it's a national problem, but around Cayuga Lake or whatever, what's the situation with? And can I ask you questions right now, or is this just me talking?
It's comment time right now for you. You talk, we listen.
Okay. So yeah, I guess I won't get an answer on that right now, but I'm curious what it's like for what the legal precedent and environmental precedent is regionally for the Cayuga Lake watershed, or whatever, makes sense to define as a geographic region. Obviously in Ithaca we have the Ithaca Gun Factory, which is a slightly separate story, but I assume generally anybody near Cayuga Lake doesn't want lead in it, and adding to that isn't helping, so curious how that works.
Okay. Thank you. Is there anyone else who wants to make a comment and put it to the floor?
My name is Larry Beck. I live at 12 Doug Road, and it's just downstream from Ludlowville Falls, where mist is in my yard. My only comment is this question of the attorney that they have no zoning requirements. My experience with owning property in the city of Ithaca, anytime you want to change something zoning, it's either a use variance or an area variance. I don't argue that they've got use and that's what they've been doing for many decades, but the area variance seems very obvious that they have to apply for a variance because they're doing it in a different area, they're doing it, they're expanding, so their area use has changed. And I'm not sure what the board thinks about that, or Mr. Crow thinks about it, but it seems like we should be responding to that.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else want to make a comment? About anything to do with the town, not just the situation? Okay.
Thanks.
Sure, go ahead.
I just wanted to speak about the gun club.
I just need your
Oh,
name,
sorry.
please.
Melanie Malone,
And your address, please?
3 Myers Heights Road.
Okay.
I live nearby Salmon Creek, but in a different area than Ludloville.
Downstream, right?
Right. So I just wanted to point out that which everyone seems to know, that the gun club has been very invasive and dishonest since March at least, probably before then. But the questions of the community members have gone unanswered. We've repeatedly gone to planning board meetings and other meetings and have asked, and the planning board themselves apparently didn't even get the information they requested from the gun club. So that's one issue. Their stewardship plan that they presented over 6 months ago, the gun club said that they would be holding informational public meetings. Not one has been scheduled. Also, wanted to point out about this, that they could continue as is. And I don't know if people they seem to be familiar with all that's involved. Shooting lead into a unique natural area, clearing of land greater than an acre, removing feet of soil as well as vegetation from steep slopes. That's going to occur every 5 years. They want to create a bridge, run a shuttle. They want to continue to deposit neurotoxins and create a new toxic field. And this is all within 5 miles of Ludloville Park and Myers Park. Surprisingly, their mission statement of the gun club says that they are protecting, preserving, and enhancing our natural resources for the members, the community, and future generations. So, you know, there's a long, well-documented timeline of public concern over the Lansing Rod and Gun Club's outdated practice of using lead for trap shooting, a recreational activity. And I just wanted to report to the board that I've spoken with many Lansing residents about this issue, and the most common theme comes from gun owners themselves, and they say that, you know, they tell me, I own guns, I shoot guns, I come from a gun family. We don't use lead. There's no need to use lead. It's irresponsible. And so that's the general feeling I get from the community. And I would just ask for the agencies that are involved in the town, the DEC and the EPA, to keep the concerned citizens informed of what's going on, considering the magnitude of this situation. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else want to comment on anything? Hi.
Brenda Zadowski on Ladoga Park Road. I wanted to comment on a different issue. Is this sure? Okay.
Thank you.
Good thing. Just the zoning issue with the corner of Myers and 34. I just have a lot of concerns. I moved here because I really believe this is such a safe community and we look out for each other, especially our children. And already we've tried to make that very busy corner a little safer with the flashing traffic signals to go 25 miles an hour. There's a lot of traffic going down to Myers. If this area were to be zoned for something like a McDonald's or a convenience store, I really am concerned about the safety of our kids. It's right across the school. Of course, if it was something like that would go in, kids would be crossing the street even more than they are now. People will be leaving Myers something that I want, that little short trip is worth it if it's less risk for our families.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else?
I just wanted to say that I really like it here otherwise. On a lighter note.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to close the public hearing now. We're going to close the privilege floor. And move, I think, our agenda around a little bit to address Lansing Gun Club. We have our code officer, Lynn Day, here. And he's going to give us an up-to-date. And if you would respectfully listen to him, I appreciate that. He was invited on the property today. And I guess we'll just leave it at that. You can give us an update of your findings. I must warn you, though, this is a continuing investigation. Okay? It's a process. One of the purposes tonight is kind of lower this temperature a little bit. One of the reasons we have responded to all the emails is because it's an ongoing investigation. And anything that we would do prematurely as board members, acting as the agent of the town, may actually hurt. As my dear friend Katrina says, be the second mouse, not the first. The second mouse gets the cheese. So that's why patience sometimes, it doesn't mean that we're ambivalent. It doesn't mean we don't care. It's that we have to be thorough so when we do move forward, if we go forward, we're on solid ground. So instead of that, go ahead.
We have an active investigation going on, so I'll be brief. Previously, the Rod and Gun submitted a site plan application which was withdrawn. They started logging roughly about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. This past weekend, the club had a work session on removing and cutting down trees. The Rod and Gun had invited and had a DEC officer on their site Saturday during this. I've been in contact with the DEC about the DEC and the neighbors' concerns. Yesterday, the Rod and Gun invited me to walk the site to see firsthand what's going on, which is all part of the investigation. Today, I walked the site, had a discussion, took pictures, documented everything. I asked about the heavy equipment, excavators, etc. The excavators are there, they have thumb attachments, so they can pick up the brush and remove the tops of the trees. So you know at this point there's been no excavating, stump removal, trenching, etc. I will be visiting the site again tomorrow to take more detailed look at the site. Fact finding is an important part of any investigation before any action is taken. And at this point, we have not received any application, any further application.
And you're going to visit again tomorrow?
I am visiting it again tomorrow at 11:30, I believe.
I understand your frustrations. If we attacked, we not have been invited in. Then the walls go up, the attorneys talk to each other, everybody sits there as the fees get grinded back and forth.
Well, what is their intention? Are they just cleaning things up?
Right now, they're removing trees until I get an application.
What permit for that, and the amount of trees, or like they can clear a certain amount, or can they clear up to an acre, or can they, at what point do they need a permit?
Once they up to an acre, after an acre, they have to do a basic SWIP. And that's one thing that we'll be looking at again tomorrow.
What's that, a basic one?
It's a stormwater mitigation type.
Well, it's at least an acre, isn't it?
I don't know that.
Well, they're moving a lot of grass
Well,
for just logging, aren't they? You know, it looks like it's all bulldozed out and stuff to me.
They have not removed those.
How will you do
Well,
that?
you see the dirt from the pictures that we've seen. You know, they see.
If I, can I turn a little bit?
Sure, now this premises, like, once again, the investigation's going on. He's going to go on the property tomorrow to get an accurate idea. And that's why you get an accurate idea and up to him. One of the things that we found is that you dig up the dirt as you're moving around the excavator, or is it actually intended to move that away? We don't know that But the good news is he's allowed to get back on the property tomorrow to make that determination.
One thing I will
And
say,
measurements, so you know how big it is.
I'm gonna reel it
Because
off.
otherwise you won't know it's big enough.
One thing I will say is the pictures that you guys are seeing in the aerial and what I saw actually on the ground today are completely different.
Okay.
It's not that it's not the same area, but when you're right there on the dirt, you guys are looking like what it looks like is just a massive dirt pile, that's not the case. There's
Well,
grass coming up
it's been
through there and
cleared
everything.
considerably. I can see in there now, I can't,
So can I, and I was on the side.
Well, whatever the dirt thing is, I don't know, they've taken down lots of trees. I mean, sure, I live right down there, and I can see in there now.
So, Mr.
It's massive what they've done.
They're just not logs, they're brush too they're cleaning, right?
Oh, yeah, they're removing all the brush.
So you have a question,
So
comment?
just a terminology question. When you say there is an investigation, that means when, or like, does the town have a lawyer already, or you don't get a lawyer until it's a last resort?
We have, the investigation is conducted by a code officer.
Okay.
If the threshold is triggered over an acre, action is taken. But it has to be justified. So the question would be, for me, if I was in the audience, what can I do? What you can do is what you've been doing, not so much with the emails. I mean, that's fine. I'm not going to respond to any of these right now, but if you can send me more accurate information to build up our database on certain things, that's extremely helpful. So you're an involved group along with this, and I appreciate that. Mr. Berger, thank you so much. This has been extremely, is he still here? There you are. Thank you so much for your articulate emails you sent us. And when I said thank you, that's all I'm responding to right now as we're building up information on our end. Our town's attorney has talked to our code officer. There are action plans in place if this happens, this happens, this happens. We've been talking about this for weeks. When a situation arises, we will act on a methodical, calm, legal way. And all options are on the table. I know everybody wants an answer tonight, and I'm very concerned about lead also. And one of the questions I would ask, people are more attuned to this than I. Are the water samples being taken above gate and below where this Ryan Gun Club is? Do we have any samples of water samples?
Yeah,
So planning board asked for that, the planning board wanted them to do, but we never heard any results.
Do we have any data about that? Because I would be interested.
We have sediment samples.
We have also a professor from Lincoln College who would like, as a class project, to take samples. She wants to approach the Rod Gun Club and would like them to allow her. I mean, it's an issue which I'm not sure. It's a very interesting situation as to what is legally permitted in terms of gathering samples. Because I've been in that creek, and maybe other people, you can smell after they've been shooting smoke in the air. If you can smell smoke in the air, you're actually inhaling small amounts of lead. Because every time a gun is fired, and the gun club doesn't want to switch, one of the reasons they don't want to switch to using the steel is because it scours their guns. In other words, the gun is scouring the lead, which produces dust particles as well as vapor. So it's like we don't breathe secondhand smoke if we don't have to, but if you live in Ludlowville, essentially, well, it's not much. But why do we have to be breathing secondhand lead at all? But anyway, the question is, if I go into that creek and take samples that are from, say, below the high tide line of the creek, whose soil is that? Because that soil is no longer there. That soil is now down the creek. It's in Ludlowville. It's over the falls. It's down at Myers Point. It was their soil temporarily, but it ain't now. And the water doesn't belong to them either. So if you cannot find anywhere any documentation as to how that creek has been defined, which is a sticky point because this is the EPA and DC being afraid of, I'm not sure what, doing their job. Maybe that is their job, to create, impossible catch-22 barriers for us. But it's like we can't determine what our rights are. We don't have the right to find out what's going on there. Is that unreasonable? If we've been told, we've been told that nobody at the Rod Gun Club would like to provide samples. Why can't we ask them? Give us samples. And why don't you guys, the Rod Gun Club, get your blood tested after one of these events? Because it would be good to know if you're contaminating yourself because you want to be stewards You may go home and contaminate your own children, which could say it's a form of child neglect. You know, so anyway, I don't want to go on with this, but it's not an easy thing to get samples. You know, if we get samples from down the creek, dilution is not the solution. There's hundreds of thousands of water. You know, there could be 1,000 pounds of lead at the base of that falls. We don't even know where it is. How are we supposed to find out? You know what I mean?
I understand.
EPA said this time there's no need. They say Bolton Point, they test the water, there's no. I said to Ed Guster, are you kidding me? Bolton Point, that's like 10 miles down the lake. If that water is poisoned, that means almost the entire Clear Lake is poisoned. So that's what EPA is doing for us. So EPA needs us. They need us to sort of say, no, 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 no.
Okay.
We don't accept this kind of shenanigans.
Okay. You going to comment?
What did the DEC say? I'm asking Lynn.
I did not meet the DEC or the EPA today.
Oh, you didn't talk to them? Okay.
I did not.
Has the town been in contact with both those agencies yet?
I've been in contact with the DEC regularly. I don't know about the EPA.
You're in the back here first.
Myers and Gay, I don't know if you were on these emails earlier, but about the testing, if you test upstream and downstream, so it doesn't need to be on the gun club's property, but whoever owns, I don't know what the borders are, but if you see a difference there, I guess that somebody explained this to me earlier this year, that's why you need to be careful about only testing downstream, because then they could still claim that, oh, that could have been coming from somewhere else upstream of us. So, and I think there's also a group at Cornell that will do water samples, you know, either for like $30 or, so again, I don't understand that as a citizen, like if the town wants official water samples that can go in whatever legal records you guys have, like as a private citizen, can I just decide like, screw it, I'm just gonna go pay Cornell $30 and do it myself, or does Lynn have to do it? How does that, like who's responsible for doing that?
Well, my concern is since we are now very sensitized to lead poisoning, we've done it through the paint in houses, and now we're doing it through gasoline, is to see what the extent, if there is, what's the source of this poisoning, and how do you mitigate the problem? I mean, if you stop it, okay, it's one thing, but is there mitigation, or is it simply you contain it and you leave it alone? I don't know. I have, like I said, I have tremendous sympathy for everyone here with their concerns. But at what point do we start, who starts to mitigate that process?
Well, I'm not even talking about, I'm talking about having a piece of paper with test results that you can show, show to their lawyer, just like this proves that you were poisoning things downstream, not just air.
Well, I think that the lead in the ground is proof enough. It's just a matter of, does it get into the water system or not? Where is the extent of this damage? Is it no longer no swimming, no fishing area now? I mean, amongst other things, I don't know. And I also would be very concerned downstream how far that would actually go. Does it go down to Myers Park?
Well, that's what I'm asking.
It makes sense. It would make sense for the town to pay for academic sampling.
Again, like if it's $30 for Cornell, I'll pay for it now.
Something that we, so we agree.
One of the things that I was concerned about the drinking water being on the Bolton Point Water Commission, we've talked about the algae bloom, we've talked about other things that obviously will be a subject that I will bring up tomorrow at our meeting, is there concern about lead contamination? So these are all good questions.
Well, I'm kind of agreeing with Katrina. We have at least test the falls. We've got numerous citizens who swim on a regular basis.
It is part of our park system.
It's part of our parks. We need to tell our community, is it safe?
We test for the drinking water quality down there for the swimming. I don't see any reason why we can't expand that. I think that's one of the things I was alluding to is that where's this problem going? And if you stop it, okay, have you stopped the problem or not? I don't know that. That's what I'm trying to gather data here.
It makes sense for us to do due diligence and
So
collect more data.
where can we call it citizens right now? We're going to start testing the falls.
We have budget.
Well,
We can put some money in the budget.
we have researchers here that can give us guidelines who we contact that can do that. Okay?
I think that you should be asking the DEC to come and do a complete sampling and a more rigorous approach because it's, you're not going to find lead in the rushing water, not at that pH. It will be down in the sediments, it will be in the banks and in the leaf litter where the some measurements of just how much lead vapor and lead dust is borne on the wind during one of their massive shooting meets where they have, 100 people there shooting for hours and hours. How much dust is coming down into our lungs and settling on our gardens? I really think that I don't see why the DEC shouldn't be approached and asked to do this. I talked to Barbara Lifton yesterday. She let me know that she talked to Matthew Marco, the Region 7 director. He said that they were going on site either yesterday afternoon or today to inspect it. In terms of the stormwater regulations, it's more than an acre disturbed. They should have had a permit, and they're supposed to be doing best management practices of hay bales and other. If we get a storm out of this heat wave, a lot of that's going to go into the creek. In terms of remediation, I can give you one example of a shooting range out in Washington. It was a little under 2.5 acres. I saw the engineering study and they looked at, different mitigation measures. And the cheapest one was to cap it with 2 feet of soil at the cost of $842,000. So who's supposed to pay for that is the question. From this gun club's hobby.
Michael, you've been very patient, thank you.
Could I ask Guy, what's the status of the consent order? We're past the 180 days, about a year and a half in terms of no shooting.
I'm not aware that the EPA has or has not renewed or replaced or extended the consent order. It was a federal consent order, not a town consent order.
So they've passed the deadline. What is the town doing to enforce the consent order that has been signed?
Town doesn't have enforcement authority under rec pursuant to a federal EPA consent order.
And the town asked it to be enforced.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what the state people are saying. All the Barbara Lifton and Pam Hemming and the governor of New York want to know what's going on, but they said we need to hear from the town. All you have to say is we support the EPA order. That's all you have to say. You don't have to get into anything else.
Hemming and Assemblywoman Lifton, they're very much interested in.
But they have to hear from the town.
But they want statements from the town.
Well, the EPA wrote us a letter a month ago asking what the status was of the whole gun club issue, and we were going to draft a response. Is that been drafted?
That wasn't what they asked, and there is a response that's out of date but hasn't been approved yet.
How do we move that forward?
It could be approved. Presumably the town will.
You just have to support the EPA.
So, when are we going to see it?
Don't know.
I think it's being outdated because things have happened, because it's gone around to the different chairs to see there's 2 different versions of how this goes. And now, since there's been action taken and things have been sped up, this is something that we can work on in the next few days to see what we can do for that letter. The issue was, in my opinion, you have the EPA and the gun club talking. And the town was supposed to stay out of it until something happened. Well, it seems as though something's starting to happen now. That's one reason why we didn't jump in the middle of this. And if that happens, we can all speculate tonight what could happen, we should this will happen. The bottom line is we have an action plan in place. We're allowed to go on the land tomorrow with the code officer. He'll make an evaluation, and depending on his evaluation, he'll make his recommendations to the town. And from there, we'll move forward in one direction or the other. And it's a process. And we can go over and speculate all we want tonight, but the bottom line is this is going to take some time, and it's going to take some patience.
But we can just make a resolution supporting that signed order, consent order.
Right.
Just so
I can't imagine you do not say, we don't agree with the EPA. We think they should keep dumping lead. Now, that just is nuts.
Well, we don't know what they've been talking about. Maybe that's been extended.
They've already signed an agreement. We're going to stop shooting lead into the creek. That's the agreement. These guys don't want to go along with it because they don't have enough money. The board, or the planning board said, yeah, you can do all this stuff, but the problem is you don't have any money. And this is what they're trying to do. They're trying to do the 1950 game. That's a totally...
I'm not going to speculate. I would support the consent order.
There you go, that's all you need to do.
That's as far as I think that we should go until we move forward methodically with this plan.
And if I could just say one more thing. According to the EPA, this is not my opinion, the EPA best management practices, and I think we've sent it to you now. It says that, this is so bizarre, I don't understand how, but anyway, this is what it says. It says that they can shoot, but once they shoot, now it's a waste. And if they don't then do something to reclaim, then it's abandoned, and then it becomes hazardous waste. So if they were to move their field across, they're essentially abandoning that field. They've done nothing over the past 50 years to reclaim anything. Matthew Marco from DEC, even though he says we're not going to do anything, they presumably are trying to get the EPA to do something. I don't know what, maybe they are. But he said in an email that this is a violation of the law. So if by law the gun club is required to do something, you say, well, how can they reclaim it? How they can, they shouldn't have, yes, that's a good question. How could they have done something which now they can't undo? No, it's very difficult. But by law, they're required to try to do something. They should be saving every penny. They shouldn't be going over there cutting down trees when they are obligated by the law to do something to try to clean it up. So I think the town has a right to tell them, you can't be spending money over here when you have an obligation here which you've ignored for 50 years.
Well,
I mean, does that seem somehow...
That's not part of the EPA consent order. The EPA has been willing to let them not mitigate the first hazardous waste site because of the wetland and the notion that that would be disruptive.
Yes, but we know, and they know that that's actually...
a great deal of it is not wetland where the lead has
a lot, yes.
Yes,
well,
most
I
of it's
think
not
for
wetland.
tonight, we have an action plan, though it may not be as fast as people want, to methodically look at this situation tomorrow. And we have options that we can put in place. And there's other options we haven't even discussed tonight we can put in place if we have to. But for right now, let our code officer do his work. And he's going to mark it off. So it'll be official what it is. From that documentation, that can give us time to find out what our action plan will be. In the meantime, our support of the consent order, I think, sends a strong message not to shoot any more over there. If they do in a different area, I don't know what has been talking over with the EPA. I don't want to speculate and risk the town because, like I said, all options are still on the table. I think we continue to have respectful and informative discussions. People can assume all they want, they have their right to. I don't have that privilege, and trust me, I'm boiling inside. But I don't have that option to speculate and assume and hope. My job is to put the town in a position where it can move forward in a protective manner and still address the concerns of all the citizens. So I thoroughly understand that. I thoroughly understand lead poisoning. We have a tremendous amount of Eastern Europeans that come to this country and they have lead poisoning. The pharmacist for 35 years, I deal with this. I also deal with people who smoke for 45 years and abuse themselves, and here we are having a problem now. So I get the fact that you say you don't lead in there for 50 years, now we got a problem? Yeah, you're saying to the choir on that one, but I don't have the option to go ahead and charge ahead. What I do have the option is to work with my colleagues here and try to move forward in a responsible, informed manner.
So we can ask the
Well, I've got a
EPA
question
to do
first.
one or two.
Yeah, I want to get to that. First, what's the threshold for issuing a stop work order? It's an acre of land that's been, how much disturbance, I'm asking them, what's the threshold that you're looking for? Because I know everybody's kind of throwing these numbers around. What is it?
I'm not going to get into this.
I asked Lynn here as a guest tonight, and I don't want to make him feel uncomfortable, put him on the spot.
I'm just trying to understand what we're talking about.
Well, once again, it's I think we need to go through and let him make his recommendations. I think we need to respect the office. He's a detailed person. He's very good at what he does. But what he also does is he documents everything so he can defend it. So let Lynn do his job and not make him uncomfortable. I don't think that's appropriate.
Okay, I'm not trying to make it uncomfortable. I'm just trying to get an understanding.
Your intentions are good. I understand that. But in all fairness to him, I think we should just let him do his job. And and then we'll see what what his recommendation is.
At the next town board meeting, will we hear his findings and what his recommendations are?
That's 2 weeks from now, is that enough time? Okay.
And in the meantime, I know it's a process, but if the process over there turns into them building things or things like that, should I email Lynn? Is that?
For the record, Lynn can't go on property unless he's invited.
I know, but if I
Okay,
see...
so if you invite him over to your land
Oh, yes, well...
to look,
Mhm.
he can do that, but he can't go on a private citizen's land if he's not uninvited to do that.
Well, I think you guys, you know, the town can't do anything. You need to turn it over to Pam Helmy and Barbara Lifton. They can pound on the DEC and the governor, or I think he's more than welcome to do it. The town is out. All they have to do is support the EPA, because there's nothing the town can do. It's the DEC that has to enforce it for whatever. Well, you turn Barbara Lifton loose on them, or Pam Helmy, and said what their problem is, then things are going to happen. But the town isn't really going to be able to do anything with it.
Okay, one more, and we can wrap this up.
So I guess follow up, new citizen question, not asking Wayne leaving out this. Stop work orders in general, like I'm building a fence in my yard and Lynn's office told me it's less than 6 feet tall, so I don't need a permit. But if I build an 8-foot fence, is that just like in a code somewhere that you can show up and say, hey, you can't do that? Or like, do the police show up? Like, who enforces that?
All right, let me give you a hypothetical.
Okay.
Okay, hypothetical is you want to build a porch, and you don't get a building permit, and he can see it from the road. He can inquire by saying, do you have a building permit? He says no, and he can issue a stop work order. And if you violate that, there are consequences.
Okay. But if I build it in my backyard and you can't see it from the road, then...
We can't do anything about it.
Okay.
Unless a neighbor complains.
Unless the neighbor complains.
People we bought the house from tried to get away with the pool.
And that's been done. That's been done. And when the next door neighbor invites you over and say, look at that, it's been done. And what happens then is they either correct it, they stop building, and they correct it up to code, or they have to tear it down.
Could we get a letter from the town, or the town to pass a resolution, calling for the enforcement of the EPA consent order? Because I think if we had a copy of that, then we could go to Senator Helming and Senator Lifton and Gillibrand and the EPA and to the press and start putting a lot more pressure on the EPA to come and enforce the consent order. We had a conversation with about 8 attorneys from the EPA. I wasn't on that phone call, but you know, that was within the last couple of months. So they're supposedly looking into it, but they haven't taken action. And so we need to create pressure so that that office does take action.
I believe the comments tonight were to have a resolution to support the consent order.
Yes.
That, I think, is what we will do tonight.
Right.
There you go.
I don't know if that's been, sometimes people can't hear everything if they're just going back and forth. Once again, not to be rude, I think we need to wrap, I think we make great progress tonight. We have some options open. We keep the lines of communication open. But please do not feel that if I don't respond to you, it's not that I visited you many times, that I don't care. I also advise our board members not to give out their opinions because they're acting as agents of the town. If you want to send me stuff that I can read, I'll say thank you. Okay? That means I'm reading it, I'm considering it, it's part of my database, and I appreciate it, but I'm not going to give you an elaborate answer or anything personally, and I advise my board members not to either. And if you want to talk privately about this, that's fine. Yes, Lisa?
Well, I'd like them to stop shooting lead over there. But one of my concerns is that could force them, definitely drive them next door to me, which is fine if they're not shooting lead. Well, really, it's not fine. I just want to know that if that were to happen, that the town is going to do something to, you know, keep us safe from that happening.
I will do everything in my power to keep you safe. That's what I can promise you. What is the town going to do? That's going to be up to the board members to see what the options are out there. But there's no reason why any citizen should feel unsafe in their home. On the other hand, to the addressing the Rod and Gun Club, I hope at the end of the day that some positives come out from both sides. And because for many years they have been into conservation and maybe doing other stuff. Right now, there's a lot of black clouds floating around. And I hope at the end, when this is all settled, that we still can coexist with each other and not have permanent issues. So that's why I ask you to be calm.
Superheroes.
Yeah, that's not.
No, I'm just asking, please, just be calm right now, okay? And we'll try to address this once again as fast as we can, okay?
I'd like to do three things at this meeting. I would like to have a motion supporting the consent order. I'd like to ask the DEC to help the town assess whether the air downwind from the gun club and whether the water at Ludlow Falls is safe. And I'd like to get moving on answering that EPA letter.
Okay. What we do with the consent order tonight, we can support that. The second one will be a letter to the DEC asking them.
I think it's just the board saying we want to. I think there's going to be some negotiation because I don't know exactly what the DEC does and what it did, but I think we need to move on telling our community, is it unsafe downwind if they're doing one of their shootouts? Is there a bunch of lead dust spewing over Ludlowville? That's a question I think is legitimate, and we need to find out an answer to that. Are the falls contaminated? People swim there every hot day. I'm sure there was a ton of people there today. We need to be able to tell our citizens, is it safe to be swimming in those falls? And, we don't have the resources ourselves to do it. We don't have the specific knowledge of how to do it, but the DEC does, and I think the town needs to reach out to the DEC and say, help us.
So we would write a letter to the DEC with board support asking for them to do an analysis on the air and also the water quality.
Yeah.
And not just liquid water, but
The sediment and stuff, right?
and the shorelines.
Yeah.
That's where it's going to be more biologically active and available.
Well, the whole Ludlowville Falls area, which includes the rocks, the sediment, the water, just, look that over, and I want to be able to tell our residents, yes, it's okay to swim there. It's okay to sit on the rocks. It's okay to dig in the dirt on the edge. I think we need to be able to tell our citizens either yes, it is, or block it off and say, I'm sorry, this has been contaminated. You can't swim here anymore. But we need to know, we need to be, honest with our citizens on that.
Let's, first of all, take one step at a time and write the letter and ask them.
Yes, that's what we need to do, is we need to find the answer.
The rest of the stuff, I think, are noble, hopefully there'll be noble objectives. Hopefully some positive come out of this. And we brought up the concern about the water. I'm obviously on the same page with you to see what the analysis is. But once again, we can ask and see where it goes from there.
Question, who owns those falls?
It's in the town park.
Yeah, it's the park, the falls, and East,
Which part are you asking?
The falls.
Oh, yeah, I didn't catch the first. You said Ludlow
I
Falls?
said who owns Ludlow Falls?
yes.
The town. I know the town land goes all the way up to, along the creek up to where it comes close
I
to
don't-
Los Angeles River.
I don't have an answer for that, Dan. Okay. If that's nothing else, we'd like to move on to the next part of our meeting. I think we should. That's the next part of our meeting. We need to get past the discussion part and move into, now what kind of language you want to put in front of the board for this? Or do you want to give Guy time to do this so we can have it at our 19th meeting, so he has time to propose this? And also have time to propose one for the DEC. In spirit, we can do a consensus, yes, we support the consent letter. Yes, we support having the DEC do the analysis of all the different areas. But in all fairness, to do this quickly tonight, does that give our attorney enough time to thoroughly draft something that we may have missed and want to do it in 2 years? Yeah, I think so, once again.
As far as the DEC testing and using a traditional grid pattern, that's easy. You simply start that dialogue. And as far as expiring the EPA and their question, that's easy. It's already been drafted. You can answer that. As far as supporting the consent order, I think that's sticky. Because if you support the consent order, then you are per force agreeing with that. There is a plan and a method that you support by which they can continue moving and relocating their lead shooting fields in that area. If that's in fact what this community wishes to support, then by all means, support the consent order.
That's not actually what the consent order says. It doesn't actually say.
It gives them options on how to continue and relocate their practice.
Probably not feasible to move the field according to the best. If the town says we support the consent order with best management practices as EPA stipulated, then the option of moving the field is actually considered by EPA a rather dubious proposition. They're not saying they can do it. They're saying that if they wanted to do it, it would be considerable hurdles. So the gun club has never even discussed what, even pretended to address any of those hurdles.
We may be presumptuous in good faith on some of this stuff, and our attorney has given us some legal advice.
You can rely on her legal advice you think is worthy.
And the sad part, though, is if we don't at least consider his advice, and all of a sudden here we are, and it's something we don't want, oh my, what have we done? Once again, are we being premature here? One of my goals tonight was to lower the temperature.
I would suggest that you simply modify it until you have a longer period of time to figure out exactly what you should say, what you wish to say. I would say that you should support the enforcement of the consent order on a temporary basis until it's fully evaluated and reissued or terminated.
That would give us,
I think there's a huge difference between those two statements, but again, there is a legal difference and it has meaningful impact, especially in a court. There's a difference between reaction and thought. And thought is the direction the town needs to go.
I think the big thing is to be able to get the state representatives to start going to work on it, because they really can't do anything without some kind of comment from the board. It's really not so much a legal thing, it's the spirit. It's that, yeah, we support the lead, something about we support lead stop going over the falls or something. So that's what they need to.
So we've had plenty of comment here, and now we're doing the work.
Right,
So,
but that's what you
let us do our work. And Guy has given us excellent advice, in my opinion, how not to make the town vulnerable, and yet...
Well, and we also have a secondary issue, and that is that to the extent that a ZBA member, a town board member, a planning board member, people who may, in fact, in the very near future, be called upon to review an application, if the town crosses certain lines, takes certain positions, makes certain admissions, presents by its very position predetermination of the issue or inability to judge an application fairly, then you have some very basic due process problems and you will have recusal issues.
You might have to not be able to weigh in.
Those who speak out most loudly are going to be those who ethically must remove themselves from not just voting on the issue, but even discussing the issue. Sort of like what we had when a former planning board member said, I just can't decide on this in good conscience. I'm predetermined. Get up, leave the table, and cease participating in the conversations. So part of the advice that I gave a while ago to speak only generally, stay out of this process until there's an application pending before the town, was to avoid the equal protection, due process, and ethical issues that are raised by those actions. So what the town says, it has to say carefully, because we cannot prejudge and therefore preclude ourselves from reviewing whatever application does come, whether it's going to be granted or denied.
Well, why don't we do this? Why don't Guy and I get together and put together a resolution for our next meeting?
How about the town board work on this with Guy?
Okay.
Those would be public meetings if you have a quorum present.
I just think we can draft something and then bring that back to the board.
No, I think the town board should work with Guy on this.
Okay.
And because we have our input on this.
So do we want another special meeting?
No, he's on vacation next week. This is something we can do in
application.
Well, that's the other part, is that some of this might be premature. The fact is you have this, you had mentioned something about supporting a temporary consent order. Is that what you're making reference to?
Well,
or are you making reference to something else?
No, I was saying, working out the wording the guy kind of threw out, but I don't want to do something in a haste, is what I'm saying.
I think if you said something like that, it was non-committal, not specifically supporting or denying whatever future use may or may not exist on that property, you at least get, as has been suggested, a position on the table that lets the DEC move forward,
I think
which
that's
frankly
cool.
I've been saying for a few months. Where the hell are they on this?
Right.
I find it rather unfathomable on many levels that the EPA needs the whole town of Lansing to actually follow up with enforcement of RECRA. The DEC needs a town to move forward on solid waste management facilities, which they have exclusive jurisdiction on. We're preempted from even regulating solid waste facilities. Okay. That doesn't make any sense to me. So when things don't make sense, there's other motives in play.
When the guy says solid waste facility, he's referring to the lead that's been deposited.
It's a RECRA issue. We're preempted from even regulating it.
So having said that, is there something that, in your professional opinion, you feel comfortable tonight putting forward in a resolution, or do you want time to send it to all the board members first? This may take 2 weeks before next board meeting. I don't know. I don't know if it is or not, but on the other hand, you talk about due diligence, we don't want to be half-cocked, no pun intended, going into this either.
I just think if you made a general resolution saying that you support the EPA enforcing its existing consent order, that you approve inquiry being made to the DEC to begin testing and examination of this site and nearby facilities, including what is a protected Class CT stream. I think that would at least get the ball rolling.
Can that be done? Yeah, that would be saying that's so moved that we have it on tape.
Well, I would say, yeah, so moved, and if you want to authorize me to start drafting a letter, and once all 5 members of the board are comfortable with what it says, hopefully it can be more formally approved by a longer sort of positional resolution in 2 weeks.
Okay, as per...
Then we have our investigation in place, we have our reply on stormwater from the DEC, we may or may not even have an application from the gun club. All the pieces may come together in the next 2 weeks. Who knows?
So as per your verbal resolution,
Moving forward.
can we move on that, and can we move on that tonight, or is that premature in your opinion?
No, all you're doing is saying, EPA, why don't you please enforce the federal law that you're the exclusive enforcing agency for? I don't think that's how certain is.
Yeah.
Well, we're talking about the consent order first. That letter to DC is the second part of the
Well, it was part
resolution.
of it, it was part of it.
Is that part of the resolution also?
That we would like them to enforce the consent order, but consider it temporary since it's expired and has to be reissued on new terms and all that new information and more time has passed.
We don't even know if they have the issue.
I'm not
I
sure.
don't think they have.
I don't think it expires.
It has a date on it.
Well, I'm comfortable with that.
So we have a motion to accept said resolution. Anybody want to second it?
Sure, but I want guy to look over the expired part.
Well,
Because I don't want to make a mistake that's going to be a problem.
well, if we're rushing this, we can wait. I don't want to put him in a...
We can take 5 minutes for...
Yeah, I don't want to make a mistake that puts the town in a vulnerable position.
Thank you. I don't believe I'm the second mouse all the time. What is this? Wait on. You've done magic with me. So we're going to take a little break. You can stay there if you like. It's entirely up to you. But we're not responding because we're ignoring you. So if you want to get some clarity.
Thank you for your time and your attention and your service.
So, stupid new question again. Are we allowed to talk at all anymore, or is this you guys are busy and we're just kind of here to listen now?
Well, I could listen to you now. I mean, I don't want to engage because we're trying to get something done tonight that you want.
Okay.
But if you want to.
No, I don't have anything, I was just curious in general.
No, I enjoyed your thoughts and your.
I was gonna, do you guys have a copy of the CPA order? Is that what you're looking at now? I was gonna like try to look it up on my phone and
No,
figure
I
out.
just handed it to you.
Okay.
Okay.
I have it somewhere.
Never has trouble picking guy.
You want yours, Chris?
It's fine. It's a stereo mic. It is a.
Okay.
Is there an echo for it?
We can all talk at once.
Go on to something else and I'll stop for you.
Okay.
We can move on to another resolution, right? So you're.
Why would you number 5? That's going to be really easy.
God, how about an easy one tonight? Item number 5 is a resolution reappointing Pete Larson III to the town of Lansing zoning board of appeals. Was he an alternate?
Yes, he was.
So it's not, he's reappointing, but we're also making him from an alternate to a regular member, correct?
Correct.
My understanding is we now have an alternate open, and he's going to fill the term of somebody. Is that what's happening?
He's taking Chris Wood's service.
Right, so he's filling a term.
Yes.
Correct. So I just was looking at the word, when you say reappoint.
Oh,
It's not, it's like his term, but to me it says that it's, you know, that his term is expired.
I
Let
see.
me just say promote.
Thank you.
Well, what's our actual resolution?
Reappointing. So reappointing there, and then it says down below,
Let's just say point.
resolved to be hereby reappointed,
Cross out the
so be promoted.
Just say appointed. Just take out the word.
Appointed. Is that good enough to make permanent status?
Yeah, we're appointing him to that position.
Okay,
Oh,
as per change of one word in his resolution, which was significant.
There might be a couple of times where I have to change it.
As per anywhere that's reappointed, the word is changed to appointed per resolution.
Okay, so we're changing reappointed.
Appointed.
And I'll move it.
I have one. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any more discussion? If not, yeah, really. Miss Laura?
Katrina Woods?
Yes.
Doug Day?
Yes.
Joseph Wetmore?
Yes.
Edward Meany?
Yes. Okay. Number 6. This is where I want to have guys comment on about stuff. This is basically moving forward with consolidated water district number 5. Yes. Number 5 is the one that goes from Armstrong Road down to the Extra Mark. The good news is it's 100%. Everyone that wants it signed it. There's no nays. I'll save the moment. Okay, I have a motion. Second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Ms. Laura?
Katrina Woods?
Yes.
Doug Day?
Yes.
Joseph Wetmore?
Yes.
Edward Meany?
Yes.
They still can do it as a referendum again.
Yeah, they could if they get 5% of the people that sign it. I don't know, maybe a guy had a bad day. There's only 10 people there, so you just need the person and their spouse. We did 9. We can go to, we can go to 8. This is a salt spreader. This is something that Cricket has come up with. He has money in his budget to do it. It is over the threshold of $2,000, or is it $2,500? But he wants to know if we can do it tonight, and if not, he can wait until our regular meeting to discuss it.
Let's do it at a regular meeting. I'd like to talk to him about it, just because I don't know enough about it to feel like I can make a decision.
We will talk about that at a regular meeting.
I would make a point to get in contact with Cricket.
That'd be wonderful. That's, it actually did come in today, and as we were talking to the guy about pop-ups, I'm still waiting for the snowmobile. What else can we do quickly? Well, we can do the cleaner. All the documentation has been done for the prevailing wage. This is something that would be a temporary until we would again advertise it in mid-December for another position. You know,
Advertise, we have to ask for bids, don't we?
that's part of it.
Yep, okay, that's a process.
That's the process starts in mid-December, so this is actually
That's
part.
certain,
Are we just discussing?
No, this actually is to pass the resolution to hire a cleaning service for the next fall.
I understand it, but it's not topic, it's discussion.
Yeah, we don't have a
resolution.
Yeah.
Pardon me?
Not a
There's
resolution.
no resolution for
As
that.
right now.
So what it will be is a regular.
So we do the regular meeting then?
Well, we don't have a resolution, the guy's not gonna write a second one.
And I'm kind of surprised. because, yeah, really, we choose no resolution down.
Well, if there is a contract and it's in review, it could.
I haven't seen the contract yet.
I haven't either.
Let's do it at the next meeting when we can look at contract and,
Put that on agenda for next time, Laura, please, okay? I'm kind of surprised, but that's okay.
do we have a contract that we can email around to people so we can read it?
If not, we'll have one in the next couple of days.
Okay, thank you.
I believe there's also, I think that's, or not,
What?
I'll take as much as you wish.
No, you're just so needy. Cleaner. I know we discussed the possibilities of queuing a commercial cleaning. I know we had the bids for it. We simply did not. Let's see.
We just needed confirmation that it was going to be prevailing wage.
Prevailing wage was $19.25 a month. And I'm very. Whatever you're comfortable with.
If your official PRC documents from the Department of Labor, you can give those to Pat.
Okay. That has a number on it.
District 4, their officially filed their property records.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I shouldn't have. That was a good reminder.
Once again, I'm not going to rush people. If you're comfortable reading that over, since it is a working meeting, we can move forward on it. If not, that's okay too.
Let's do it at the next meeting, so I have a chance to get that all together.
Okay. We'll send that out for further discussion. Okay.
And I question whether or not we can do a bid process from mid-December to January 1st and have a cleaner available for us in January.
Well, maybe we have to start at the 1st of December.
That's what I'm saying, do we want to push that schedule up?
Yeah.
I think there was more of idle conversation than was procedure to discuss that, and that's fine. And we can do it at the 1st to give them a month, that's fine also.
It has to be out for a certain number of days and,
Oh, absolutely. Okay, so, we'll take that one off the table for tonight. Okay, policy, we discussed that.
I would move this trail policy, but I would like to add a sentence in the descriptive part that says, during site plan review of projects where the town trails are near, adjacent, or run through the project, the ZBA and planning board should consider trail setbacks and important views be considered during the project. Just to say that these are important and we want to, be considered what's right next to it. Yeah.
I can't see a trail that has buildings all the way around it. So I can understand where, I'll take Milton Meadows example. They're gonna be sporadic. You don't want them right up, just like we don't have things up to the road.
Right.
Yeah, or someone's property line.
Exactly. The only, I don't think most people do it anyways. I would add something to that though. You mentioned 15 feet. Do you have to put a specific amount for setbacks?
I just put
You said that
consider.
they consider, so there's no requirement.
And then it would be up to the, pardon me?
It's a policy, so it would just be a policy recommendation that the policy is try to keep 15 feet setback. There might be places.
I didn't put a number, I just.
Okay, yeah, but I'm just saying, there might be places where you want 30 feet, there might be places where you don't need any. So it depends on actually where your view
And
shed.
the planning board
I'm just saying, keep this in consideration because this is important.
is property.
No, that's fine. I just want to know what the parameters are for the governing board that's going to be looking at this. It's up to your discretion how much that setback will be.
Consider it.
Yeah, well, this issue came up at the planning board when they passed their recommendation on this, and I was only aware of one question that remained, and that was ultimately whether it was going to be 15 or 20 feet, because that's what we're all different levels. And when that issue came up about whether there should be a setback or an overhang or some kind town center trail. This is about the town center trail, not other pathways. The planning board said that that's already part of site plan review, we take that into account anyway. So
So
it
it's part of
suggested,
what they're-
when someone had suggested that this clause be added, I was like, well, we've already agreed to do that, so I don't think it hurts to add it.
No, and I totally agree with this. My only concern was when I look at setbacks, is usually it's a specific number. And for their discretion, which is fine by me, I just had not had that much exposure with, it's up to the discretion of the governing body.
Yeah, it's not a zoning rule because it's basically going to be related to the right of way, it's not building, we will have building setbacks. If the trail is actually on the property line, then you're going to have in fact a automatic setback based on yardage requirements of building setback. Sure. I think what Joe is saying is, in all circumstances, the planning board and ZBA and the town board, in the rare event that it might come from the town board, I think there's a PDA those, needs to look at what is the appropriate setback to preserve the function of the town center trail as a recreational trail, as well as a scenic trail, public amenity. There may be even aspects of it which are in fact transportation. Might be part of the transportation trail.
Yeah, town board. Right? You said town board also in the rare instance like a PDA.
It could be a PDA. Almost everything's going to be reviewed by the planning board.
So that's a state body.
And they already look at setbacks as part and parcel, like buffers, yardage, stuff like that. That's what site plan review is.
Okay.
So I don't really have a problem with putting it in there. It makes sense.
Is that taking away too much from the landowner though?
They would have to do state plan review anyway.
Right. For example, Cornerstone, they've already more than exceeded all those setbacks with these trails, except in places where arguably it might connect to a parking lot.
Right.
Remember,
Or a bus
we're the
stop.
landowner, and we're telling people who are going to buy land from us, these are the rules.
Just saying.
Yeah, but we're the landowner.
So is this a universal policy for every property?
No, this is for our town center trail.
It's just protect, it's just relating to, it's a general policy to protect the town center trail.
The word is not
Because the
plans and
the
towns.
office applies.
So I got it.
Okay.
I can read it.
Yeah, it's unique just to one situation. And I think sometimes you make that mistake of thinking this is a universal for every place there's a trail and there isn't, so this is unique. And what are going to go over there, basically? You know. Having said that, and per the adjustments, and you can get those verbatim from,
Yeah, I can email those to you.
okay?
We're adding town board to list as ZBA and planning board, in that rare instance that we might do a PDA.
No, if it's a town policy, it applies to everyone, whether you make the rules or not.
Okay.
Okay.
Well-
Let's leave it the way it is, and just, so I've got the verbiage, I sent it to Andy, got it to.
So now more, so as per changes,
Does anybody have any questions on that?
No.
we'll go to the first step, then we'll go to the second step. Because as per changes, if we're okay with that, then we can have more discussion if needed. And if not, we'll entertain a motion.
So move.
Second?
Yeah.
More discussion? Okay. Ms. Laura?
Did we decide on 15 versus 20, please?
It didn't say anything.
It said, no, but the actual pass is 15. That's number 2.
Well, there's two versions.
Is it right?
There's
I
been
thought it was
debate as
just
to
one.
which one.
This one says 15. This one says 15.
There's other ones that say 20.
I
So
thought this
this
was
was planning
20.
there were two
No, this
versions.
is 15.
I would like to just,
Right, and I just want to be clear
I
because we
concur.
are clear in the deed.
With what?
20.
Oh, boy.
20's a road.
The reason with 15 is this has been advised by a group of people also that's on that committee. The fact is you have 15 plus you can always adjust it with a policy. I think
Well, yeah, you have setbacks, so 15.
we have buffer. I mean,
Well,
so when
15
you're
is
buffer,
the policy.
you're
If
looking
there's
at,
a place where you want 30 because you're going to connect to a playground, you'd reserve 30. Each right of way is going to be tailored to the individual piece of land. But as a general guideline, how wide should the area of the right of way be? The discussion at the planning board bounced between 10 and 20. And there were those that said keep it at 20, which was the original committee recommendation. And there are those that said compromise at 15, and I don't think that issue was ever resolved. All I'm saying is, in a perfect world, you know exactly what's going to happen. No one does. So if you're going to err on the side of caution, I will tend to agree that although it's a bigger swath, 20 is better because you can always reduce your rights.
Within that 20 feet, that's not the width of the trail, that's the width of the right-of-way, so you have a trail and a buffer.
Right, so you can always give up the land if you don't need it in a particular location. Like it's just a straight trail, there's going to be no lanes, there are problems with getting a piece of equipment down to maintain it. But if you only take 15 and you find out you need more at a later point, you can't get back. So each actual right-of-way is going to be tailored to the piece of land being sold. This is just a general guideline. It's proposed as a general standard as 15 or 20, but it's going to vary depending upon what the site plan review is for the project.
Right.
So we're starting somewhere. So it's either 15 or 20. I'm not sure it's again, worth cracking and frying to this level. I think you just need to pick a number. 15, as Andy suggests, is more consistent with what you normally see for pathways. In fact, the existing pathways in the town, the widest one is 16, and that's actually in this area.
But isn't that what the point is to be consistent with a pathway on here, and the fact that we are taking town land and basically dedicated only to one use?
I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying there's good arguments for 15 and 20.
When I do a
visual,
parking lots are normally 9 feet wide. You're looking at 2 of those parking lots in width and the maintenance and everything else. The fact we have a buffer there also on that is another reason why. And to me, that just 15 seems to be reasonable because we have areas. Don't we have areas for bump outs in case we need them? Wasn't that what the discussion was with 20?
I'm presenting both sides of it. The planning board really vetted this on both sides. And you were there, Andy, right? And Tom, you're on the planning board. Remember this, the 15 versus 20? Were you there at that meeting?
I was at the meeting.
I don't think they decided. I think they recommended the policy. I think the actual policy that they had before them said 20. But I think it's unclear whether they recommended 15. And so all I'm saying is I don't think it really matters a huge amount one way or the other.
Because each
one.
purchase of property will be discussed and negotiated.
The right-of-way will be reserved in the deed, and it will be placed wherever the approved site plan for that particular lot is. In some places, it may branch out into a parking lot, it may branch out into a playground.
So if it branches into a creek.
So I don't think it's a crazy issue, and again, it's a policy. You can always update it if you find that 20 is too much or 15 is too little.
I don't like these are hypotheticals.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a Lansing center.
Correct.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
How wide is the walking width of the trail right now?
8 feet. 20 feet.
8?
Oh,
So we twice.
this 20 feet, this was 20 feet. It's huge.
So it gives you 6 feet of mow or shrubbery or
Ditches,
Ditches.
drainage.
yeah. I think
Well, this is what was discussed at the planning board, which needs space for both ditches and some of the buffer to be on the town portion of it, because we can control, saying that it has to be ant-line shrubbery or
So
something.
there's not, so the buffer's only 15 feet or
The whole thing's either 15 or 20, the trail, the buffers, and everything.
So what about setback?
That would be a site plan consideration that might prevent certain types of structures or impacts within the distance.
No, we're talking about setback.
you're saying the setback with the 15-foot
That's
trail
30 feet.
is sufficient.
Yes.
What I find unique to this situation, where I think sometimes we try to lump everything into one pathway, is that we own the land. And if Mr. Jones wants to buy a piece, and we say, you know what, that part, because of your unique problem, because you're next to the wetlands, we're going to make a ton of it. We're not going to sell you the last 5 feet. You have control over it.
That's true. That's true.
And when you look at these things, you say, okay, here's the wetland, and you say, you know what, Mr. Jones, we're not going to sell you that extra 5 feet. We're going to keep 20 for this area, where other ones might go back. So we have This is rare. We have total control over really what happens here.
Right.
And so you want to have, I think 15 is a good compromise because you can adjust it out if you have to. If this area over here needs a ditch or whatever, okay, all those things happen. And my whole thing is that let's see where the 15 feet goes, get a visual of it. We can revisit this next year.
Let me do that the other way now. Talking to Mr. Jones, they say we've got a 20-foot path here, but you know, we like your project, we think it's going to work really well. We're going to give you an extra 5 feet. And Jones
We have the easement, but we can let them have it.
Jones walks away feeling happier that way when you give them something than when you take something away.
True.
Right, so you start with the 20, and you can give it to people and make them feel better, as opposed to making some people feel bad because we really needed 20 feet in this area.
How long is this table? How long is this table, Ron? Is this 8 feet? 9 or 10? Two of those together?
I've never measured it, but I think it's probably 8 feet.
So two of those together is a pretty wide path. I mean, my whole thing is that if a guy is, or a gal's going to look at this and buy the land, they're going to see what the path is the width anyways.
The width, this ring is about 20 feet.
So it allows for a path and some shrub or planting.
Okay. It allows for a plane. This is huge.
But you're thinking of just a groomed path. It's not just that. It's
I'm thinking
the
of
wild. It's a
having
natural.
some of that natural area staying there, and that's what I'm trying to keep, is enough of it that you're not just walking through people's backyards, but you're walking through something that's got trees and bushes and, you know, has
It's
some
an
of,
aesthetic.
has some of the feel that it has now.
May I say something?
Yes.
Sure.
We're building our park. We have one piece of trail that runs between the two houses. And Joe's comment reminded me of this. You sometimes need that much buffer to give the people around the trail privacy, so that they don't hear people
From the
walking
public.
through and talking. So 20 feet would be good, and I think Joe's idea of giving 5 feet back would be good too. It's just something to think about. It's not just for the people on the trail, but it's for the neighbors to that trail.
Such right-of-way shall be 20 feet in width, with consideration reducing to 15 upon purchase. That way there's both, it gives that consideration.
Consideration for the town board.
We have to approve the sale of land,
Right.
and then we have to go for a public referendum. And it's going to go through a lot of different filtering before it gets there. Maybe Mr. Jones or Mrs. Smith doesn't want 5 feet, but you have the option.
So let me get this straight. So it's 20 feet plus a setback.
No, it's 20 feet of.
He's saying
fire
that the
department.
planning board might
And the
get
planning
it.
board's gonna say, don't build things right up next to that 20 feet. But we're not specifying how far away, and how far away depends on what it is. If it's something really noxious, it's gonna have to be pushed further away. If it's something innocuous, it'd be fine. But that's gonna be up to the planning board to
So
decide.
this 20 feet foot easement can go right on the property line.
I assume so.
So you basically got a 5 foot setback. Okay. That worked.
Oh,
Yeah, that worked. No, because that means that's their setback now, if you use 5 feet. So that means you can go up to them. So then you have to change the rest of this also, because you don't have a setback either, do you?
I don't have a number in there, it's probably up to the planning board or whoever.
Do we need to specify setback as in a vague way now also by saying it can go up to the line, or just leave it as is?
It just says they should be considered.
Considered, okay. We need to move on because the sun's coming up.
Okay, so are we changing anything in that?
They change it to 20.
Okay.
And then language under the sentence.
But it also means that if they want to put it right up to the line, you're going to have a buffer of bushes, whatever anyways, they can do that also if they want. Maybe they want to put a fence up there.
Yeah.
The 20-foot line.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they'll ask for a buffer anyways, maybe that's what they do.
The planning board will work out what the appropriate buffer is based on the situation.
So basically, you got a developer, I would imagine, going over there and saying, geez, I only have to, I can go right up to the line now with a fence.
Sure.
Okay. Work. So, Yeah, as amended, and amended again. So we have a motion, we have a second.
Yes.
We need to re-motion and re-second if there's
You
an.
guys will accept those amendments?
Correct.
Okay, that's okay, Ms.
So
Laura?
it's 20 feet and it's the added sentence.
Yes, making sure it's like that.
It's considered.
Yeah. Okay, Ms. Laura?
All in favor?
Aye.
It's perfect, but it's drafted.
Just under,
Handwriting.
L, let me check. LN?
It's not coffee.
Yeah.
That's it.
All right. Are you,
I can read it to you, but
Thank
you're
you.
not going to be able to read Sanskrit.
Okay.
two other things? Go ahead.
It would say something to the effect of as follows. The town of Lansing hereby resolves as follows. 1. The town attorney, with the advice and consent of the town board and code enforcement officer, shall draft letters to EPA and DEC as follows. 2. DEC shall be asked to 1. Do air testing in vicinity of LRG. 2. Do soil and water testing in vicinity of LRG up and downstream of the LRG site and at Leadville Falls. 3. Delineate wetlands in vicinity of LRG. Then those would be little Roman numeral 3s, and then back. Number 3 in the resolution. EPA shall be notified of the town's support for the enforcement of the existing consent order with recognition that the consent order is non-final, perhaps expired and not to be extended, and subject to amendment pursuant to intervening facts and new information as it arises. 4. The town notes that it still awaits application from LRG relative to land use changes and the review of the existing lawful or unlawful non-conforming use, and reserves its right to supplement recommendations as further investigations, facts, and applications arise or are submitted for consideration and review.
Cover all the bases, we're vague and concise. Thank you.
Well,
I'm serious, I mean, you just have to be generic enough to incorporate the spirit, but not be too specific that you box yourself in.
You're authorizing me to start the process, you're taking a position, you're saying, do we want help evaluating this? You're telling me EPA,
Collect data.
here's what you wanted, here's our position.
Good.
Enforce
I'll
the order.
move that.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Ms. Laura?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Parcel zoning.
Yes, number 7. Okay. This will be to schedule the public hearing. And if you do schedule a public hearing, and if you do agree on everything, we have to go through the seeker's non-guide.
Well, the public hearing usually is to jointly consider environmental issues as well as zoning issues, and then you would do a secret determination before you would adopt the local law. If you adopt it, if you reject it, then you
Or we could amend it.
Right, we could, yes, you don't. The process could result in adding different pieces, removing other pieces, and if there's a substantial change, you would have another public hearing.
Okay.
I have a concern about the third one here, yeah. This is the one over by the school.
Yes.
And my concern about that one is, our comprehensive plan talks about doing 2 things to that area. It talks about rezoning it as an overlayer, and it talks about the city bylaw as an overlayer that would change the underlying zoning. And we're right now in the process, and Mike and I have been working on trying to start to define what that overlayer is. And I think it would be premature to change one at that space because we're still in the process of making definitions of what that space is going to be like. And that's very different from the other ones there. Because the other ones, we have a fairly defined description in the comprehensive plan. This one, we have a very specific description that we haven't finished working through. But Mike and I met last week or so and started that process of defining that. We're going to continue to try to put that together. as part of the.
So it's moving forward in a timely manner, but may not be
I think
at a
it's,
place where it should be lumped in with the other parcels.
yes,
So what are the thoughts on that?
just pull that one from right now.
No, what are your and Mike's thoughts?
Restricting the development in some way, and we're still kind of kicking those ideas around. And I think we ought to consider the school issues too, because I think that's a really strong issue of, you don't want a convenient park that's dragging kids.
Or a subway.
So something that's going to drag kids across that road on a regular
I don't
basis.
see that happening.
But if
It's allowed.
the zoning is changed, it's allowed within that commercial zoning, we're opening ourselves up to something without having.
I think we need to think this through more, is what I'm saying. This one.
The only thing I would say is that we're limiting, I'm not in favor of a subway or a convenience market. What's there right now used to be a gas station.
I understand, and I understand it's.
And so, I mean, basically, Mr. Kohlenberg's waited quite a while for something to do with his property. And it was zoned, what, L1, way back when?
Yeah.
Which was a mistake.
I understand that.
But, I mean, so
And I'm not trying to.
what do we tell him?
I tell him that we're trying to move this forward as quickly as we can and
So
figure out.
is this another resolution?
I don't know, depends on how long it takes us to work through these issues. I think there's a lot of issues that we're working on.
Well, we got 5 issues right here that are right in front of us. The thing I would ask is, what could go there if this was changed? I mean, you don't have enough room to put a lot of these different things there. You basically, leave it the way it is, you're going to have another, and this is not going to ding up these over, you're going to have another pit stop. You're going to have an empty building. And in the scenic byway, in fairness, I understand the intent of that, but you're looking at a school and a bus garage, and you look at other ways, so this isn't very scenic. It would be nice if there was something nice there that could get spruced up.
We're not disagreeing to that.
But what I'm saying is that what can be zoned there for this individual? What's left for him to do? He's been there for 60 years or something. And this is something that was going to be changed. There's not another gas station going to go in there.
He's keeping the house as a separate parcel?
I don't know. I haven't had any talks with him on that subject whatsoever. What's his options right now? Unless he grandfathers in, unless somebody within a year does something there, it just goes to what?
All it can be is what it is.
Or they can tear it all down and build a house. He has options. I'm not saying they're good ones, and I'm not saying he should be doing it. I'm just saying he does have options at the moment.
I think his intent is to sell, which is none of our business anyway.
Right.
But he can't sell it now as it is, with the zoning is in place.
He can, he has a non-conforming use and that goes with the property.
Does it?
Yes.
Okay.
As long as it's not vacant for 2 years, from what Mr. Kohlenberg said. So he could still reap his benefits of his investment by selling the parcel, and it could retain its current use and still be within the zoning law as it is now.
I think his point was that he can't get what would be the full dollar for it, I guess.
I also like to note that people have bought land there, parcels there, including myself, since it's been zoned Lakeshore 1. I lived there because of the absence of a B1 activity. And what is the obligation to those landowners that have purchased land over the last 15 years to be there away from that type of activity?
I don't think we're going to resolve that one tonight. Can you pull that one out and address there for?
Just
Pull that one out for further discussion and address the other 4.
Oh,
There's other parcels. There's 5 There's 5 different parcels. Can we address that one?
Yeah, as I'm saying, pull this one.
Are we on agreement with the other 4? At least
I'm
move forward with that?
Move forward. I want to sit down with the zoning map, and I haven't had a chance to see them in context, but yes, in general, I'm okay.
Well, then we should move forward there for tonight and set the public hearing.
Right. I'm just asking to pull that one.
That's fine, because there's no sense of urgency, not there are, but for that one.
Well, there is, but we need to do all our due diligence too.
So that one is a topic for further discussion. We can pull that one out. We can set the public hearing for the other For all of them except,
There's 2 zoning changes affecting 4 parcels.
yes. So if that's the case, we'll set the public hearing for 6:35 on September 19th.
Yep, and we're gonna take out that one where it is.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. We need a motion to vote on that one.
Want to make a motion?
Okay. Second it? Ms. Laura?
Katrina Binkowitz?
Yes.
Doug Dave?
Yes.
Joseph Watmore?
Yes.
Edward Lee?
Yes. Oh, number 7, dropping like flies. Okay. The budget, briefly, the budget. We gave you a summation sheet. We still don't have all the information from our sewer and water yet. That's why we just got that one summation sheet. Having said that, I think that the spreadsheet is out. Should be, you all should have that. If you don't, we'll send it to you again. Nothing, I haven't made any adjustments to that, as far as that goes. We will continue to work on the actual budget. We'll hopefully get the information to you as fast as we can.
Okay.
We will have discussion on that. We'll have a little book here that shows us all when to dot all our i's and cross all our t's. I'll try to get this to you as soon as you can so you can read it over. At least you have the spreadsheet starting to see what the trends are. There is in there some of the things where, for instance, we're using $210,000 from fund balance. One of the things is that there's the door replacement.
Yeah.
We're doing on that one. There's other few more improvements on there, so I guess technically we could take it out of this reserve, that reserve, use less, and then use fund balance, or do we just simply move it forward at least one time? So these are things to consider.
I have a couple of questions on this. Line 8599, the appropriated fund balance, I was left blank for the previous years, and I tried to fill it in, but I'm not positive of that.
A what?
8599.
It's on page 5. These are blank because that's what's spent.
These are blank.
These are blank. Okay, fund balance, I don't know why they're blank.
And they're blank,
But that's a question we can,
they're blank on the highway fund as well. When you look at the appropriated fund balance for the highway funds, they're all blank. And
it may have been a different type of accounting, as far as they went back then. What we've done in the past, at least the past few years, is you've allocated in your budget the cost of equipment. Where in the past, they've taken out lump sums. So these are questions, since you just got that, these are questions we can discuss when we have everything in front of us to give you accurate information.
okay.
Okay, that's one reason why I try to get this stuff in front.
So back to the office.
Right, so we have Charmaine or myself or Cricket or Patrick or whoever other department heads. So if you look for a trend, why is it this and wasn't that? Those are questions I ask during the following weeks.
Okay, and here, I'm not found the word you want to find out because easily.
When you do, you show me how. Because it's not easy.
Okay, so line here, it says A1081, payment of lieu of taxes.
Once again, we had those discussions. Mark down in your highlight. You have a highlighter? If you have, good. We'll have those discussions probably next week.
Okay, my questions are, like, what does that cover? What's under that?
These are all good. We'll give you an accurate information.
Okay.
Okay?
So next week being the 19th,
No, maybe if you want to come in on Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday, come in while Charmaine's there. You can do it that way. Or if Cricket's there or whoever.
I'd like to have these kind of discussions more public because Katrina's going to ask a question that I'm not going to think of, and that's going to bounce something off of me.
I was wondering.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, we can
I'm
have.
taking up Charmaine's time.
Well, on the other hand, though, we want to give you accurate information. This is why you come. One of the things that they ask in here is you put you, and I don't agree with that in writing, but so is that this is why we have these discussions. It isn't that we're not being transparent. It's the fact that what you're doing is you're getting accurate information so your constituents can ask you those questions, you have the answers.
Yeah.
So the first thing we need to do is get the answers to you.
And then share it.
And then share it.
all of
If
us.
you want to do that in the board meeting, say, I had a question about this, here's my answer, I had a question about this, here's my answer. Those are all good questions. But the process, I think, to be more efficient and fair, is to say, okay, I have questions about this. Let's sit down, you either come to my office, with Charmaine's there, myself, and we can go through some of this stuff to give you a little more background information.
Okay. But I do want to hear everybody's questions because, you know, I
We
get
have
more.
budget down at the regular meeting, there's a discussion.
We can do it for a set of time, we do it in our working meetings, we have the discussions then, like we're doing tonight, write down the questions, we'll give you the answers, and like you do with the vouchers, right? And then
Chew on them together.
and once you get the accurate information, then I think that's the way to go.
Yeah, I'm interested in not duplicating effort on Charmaine's part, you know, if she gets asked the same question.
Yeah.
The other thing you can do is put them in an email, and then we can send it to everybody,
Okay.
back and forth, start that dialogue back and forth.
Just to see.
Well, they say in the budget process, you have to give your, well, if you say this, for instance, this, and this, they give us plenty of time, and now we can share with everybody. I mean, an email, you can share with as many people as you want. Okay?
And then we'll come in and talk about it.
Yeah. Okay. Milton Meadows, nice site easement. Is there any discussion about that? Let's just put it down there for some reason. I guess not. We talked about that today.
Well, there was some, yeah, that was, I had told that the only thing I'm aware of that's out there that could pop up is approving the easement. But since nice, I guess, there's nothing to approve.
Okay.
So are you saying we're going to have to approve an easement for nice days on this?
Yes. Because they have to get electricity into the town center.
And it's still our property.
Oh, so they're just going to have to come across another private property?
They're going to come across town property, and we want to make sure that the transformer station, three-phase power, is located on town property so we can get electricity to whatever we want to put.
Not just that.
Not just that.
And the other thing is that the other component that NICEAG needs to give us input on where they also want to put this too. So there's moving parts to it.
Does this go to the planning board first?
It's been through the planning board, but no, this is just the grant of the easement. It's going to run along, it has to come into a known location near the intersection. And it's going to run a set course alongside of the road. The real question is, one, is NICEAG going to approve the easement? And two, where we want basically the transformers. Because you really, as we discussed, there was a discussion about it today, and you really don't want to have stuff like that at the intersection where you're likely to have accidents.
Right.
And there's a substantial benefit to the town to have it up on in the town land so we can access it as opposed to every time you want to tap into it, you kind of run on the state highway and shut it down.
Right.
Or the buffer between that and the trail?
It's not any of the real trail. It's actually going to be parcel B.
Behind.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to move into closed session to get some advice from our attorney. And
Would it be acceptable that Ronnie stay during that?
I don't need to, I can be outside, and just poke a gun outside and tell me when to get
I just feel weird throwing you out there in place if there's going to need to now.
no.
We do.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Ryan.
You're welcome.
Ed? During the